Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I am, as always, your host, AR the Ohio Patriot, and for today's episode, we're going to talk about dating in 2022, and is it actually worth it for most men? So basically, this this is something that I've discussed off and on and stuff like that on this channel for probably a good, I don't know, year or two at this point. And the conclusion really comes down to being, market value and everything else like that, and just in general, you know, do most guys want to be stepfathers? And in a lot of cases, the answer is no. And that's the problem with a lot of chicks these days. And it really goes back to, the rules for radicals, playbook, and the cultural Marxism and throwaway feminism that has existed off of it and stuff like that. That has led us to this point in history where you basically have glorified whoring, is what it is. And you have these females out here that are being told every fucking day of their lives, like, oh yeah, you can go out there and be as promiscuous as possible, but don't expect to not find a good man at some point and stuff like that. Or you have all these other ones that are like, where have all the good men gone? And it's like, well, they're clearly not by your dried up ass, is what it is in most cases. Because it's one or the other at this point. It's either you got a chick who has had, 3, 4, 5 kids with 3, 4, 5 different baby daddies, and then wants you to basically, raise her children for her, is what it is, with your finances and stuff. Or it's a situation of they have spent so much time, you know, fucking around and everything else like that, and they're all, super pro abortion and everything else along those lines, super hardcore lefty and everything else like that. And it's like, why would you want to give your time to somebody like that, That's just like this crazy ass Karen, basically. And yeah, in most cases, men don't want to do that. And actually, this particular grandstand today is brought to you by the following thing I found on Reddit last night, which was somebody posted this particular dude's profile image. Jesus Christ. Sorry about that. What the hell? Yeah, that's messing up on me for some reason. I don't know what the fuck happened there. That's some crazy shit, man. Let's see if I can get that to work now or not, because that is definitely fucking up for some reason there. I don't understand why either. Shouldn't be all phasing out like that. Nope, it's still gonna be all screwy. Yeah, it's not gonna work. Yeah, every time I try to share it, it's just phasing in and out real bad. But basically, so I'm just gonna go talk. Well, actually, I'm gonna see if I can find the particular Reddit post, and if that be the case, we'll just go by the post itself. If that be the case, then because it's something I do want to talk about in this episode, and it's kind of hard to do that when we don't have the source material here for it, is what it is. So let me see here now. Dating. Yeah, I was trying to find the actual post here. That for some reason does not want to. Like I said, it's not wanting to come up. Now I'm literally just trying to find the damn thing now. No, it's literally just not coming up now. Fucking weird, man. Very fucking weird. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, so basically, there was a guy who put as his dating profile, and actually, I'm going to see if I can. I'm going to try this one more time and see if it'll actually work this time or not. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. If it does, it does. And it's, it is what it is at that point. So yeah, we're going to try to do another share of this. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But no, it's still fucking up. All right, fine, fuck it. So basically, what it was is there was a guy that went by the name of Caleb here. His profile was listed as trigger warning. Let me guess, you're 25 with 3 kids and you've had your fun. Now you don't want that. You want a real man to settle down with and take care of you and your kids because you let a loser nut inside of you. Okay. I'm 6 foot even, have my own house, 2 vehicles, and I make over $75,000 a year. What do you bring to the table? Question mark. If the answer is someone else's kids, then go kick rocks. No man will ever want you. Not always true, actually, on that one. There is some desperate motherfuckers out there that would go for that. And then the guy continues on and said, stop saying you're thick, you're obese. Also, stop saying you're a dog mom, you're a pet owner. So, let's go ahead and break that down, honestly. What's funny to me is that he said, let a guy come inside of you, because as from my personal experience, dude, on online dating sites in this country in the last couple of years, it's usually multiples. If it's multiple children, dude, they are not biologically from the same 2 parents, dude. They're all biologically from the same mother, but 99% of the time it's all different fathers across the board. Or there might be like, if it's like 3 or something like that, it might be like 2 with one dude and then 1 with another guy or something like that. Or it's 3 guys in total that are the baby daddy. And from what I've seen, it's very, very infrequently all 3 are with the same man. And it's sad. It's sad and it's fucking pathetic, honestly, in a lot of cases, dude. Because what you're really saying in that kind of case is you've had, at minimum, 3 failed relationships in your life and are continuing to basically go out there and search for another meal ticket, in most cases, what it actually is, dude. And that's the truth of it, is, at the end of the day. It's chicks that want a fucking meal ticket. It's females that, can't really provide for themselves. So they'll sit there and basically fuck around and then try to find somebody to take care of them and their kids. And what's crazy is, from my personal experience, I've been on places like OkCupid and stuff like that, and there was chicks on there that had like 2 to 5 month old children, like literally pretty much newborns, and are going out there and trying to date somebody. Like, bitch, take care of your fucking kids. God damn. Like, be an actual parent to your fucking children. And then you wonder why these kids are so fucked up, because it's not even just fatherless homes at that point. It's also just shitty parenting across the fucking board, man. It's people that don't even care enough to actually stop dating for fucking 10 seconds to then go out there and have an actual fucking parenting, be actual fucking parents to their children, dude. And it really fucking pisses me off, honestly, dude. Because of the fact it's like, dude, you could easily be a better parent to your child at that point. Even as a single parent, just be a good fucking parent, man. Don't be the fucking person that's gonna sit there and do all kinds of fucking crazy shit and then wonder like why people are like calling you out on this. What it is, man. And that's what it is in most cases. It's people that will, rightfully call out somebody for just bullshit behavior is what it is, dude. And that's what it is in most cases. It's bullshit behavior, dude. Sorry, I'm still trying to find this fucking damn article here, but I can't seem to locate this. It's pissing me off now. I wonder if maybe I just looked past it is what it was. I think maybe that's the problem. Like, I may have just looked past it instead of actually clicking on it is what it is. Initially. Yeah, because everything I'm seeing here, it's not that. And it's starting to piss me off now. So, anyway. But yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, honestly, when you think about it, man. Because okay, never mind. Found it. Okay, so I did find the actual article then. Hopefully, this actually works. Then, if that be the case, and we can actually do a real thing here with this and actual sharing of it. So this wait, was that the actual article? Nope, sorry, that was a different one. Let's see, so stop sharing that one. It would be what the fuck? It was here a second ago. Oh, wait, there it goes. Okay. So it was this particular thing that we were talking about here with this guy. And yeah, this was this dude's dating profile apparently, where it said 25, 3 kids, uh, letting some loser nut up inside of you, and then talking about himself and how like his own, what you call it there, and then yeah, that nobody's ever gonna want that person because they have somebody else's children or whatever the case be, which is not always true. I've met multiple dudes that have become stepfathers to women's kids and then eventually had another child with that woman. Usually is what it is. But yeah, for the most part, if you already have like 3 kids with one or more baby daddies and stuff like that at that point, man, most guys are not going to want to get themselves attached to that because why would they? It is way too much risk. And I think that's exactly why we're seeing the decline of fertility rates in this country and why we're seeing a decline in population in this nation and across pretty much all European nations in this world right now. And why they keep trying to import a bunch of fucking third world people into the first world is what it is, dude. Because instead of actually incentivizing people to get together and have actual, family units and a bunch of children and stuff like that, no, it's literally for decades now, whether it be Hollywood pushing it, whether it be the mainstream media doing it, whether it be cultural Marxist behavior, etc., pushing the shit through third wave feminism, etc. It's basically the glorification of whoring, is what it is, and it's both men and women for that matter, because it's people being told from both genders. It's like, yeah, you can go out there and fuck around as much as you want with no consequences and stuff like that. And it's like, if you're a chick, it's like, oh, we can just have abortion on demand. Here's a bunch of Planned Parenthoods, etc. You can just go have an abortion anytime you fucking want, ladies. Or it's like one of those situations where it's like, oh, if you want to actually have the kid, well, here's a bunch of fucking big daddy government that's gonna put a bunch of fucking money into like EBT and WIC and all this other shit you can get for fucking free handouts is what it is. As long as you have a child. Like, it's so fucked up, dude. And that's the problem with most of our society in a nutshell right now, dude, is it is literally built upon essentially making sure that women are taken care of and men are literally cast aside. And it's fucked up, dude. It really is. And it's something I've personally seen for many, many years now. And it's things I have personally not been okay with for many, many years now. Because of the fact that all it does is basically fuck over men, you know? And then you have all these people, all these dudes out here that are doing the men going their own way thing and stuff like that. That MGTOW mentality and stuff like that. And I don't disagree with it, honestly, in some cases, because many of these men have been fucked over in the past. They're the ones that are, they have their kids taken away from them by some crazy bitch ex, or it's like, end up getting with the wrong woman or whatever the case be, and she tries to entrap them with child support and stuff like that for decades. And yeah, it's just fucked up, man. And then on top of all that, then you end up having a situation where people, like I said, whether it be hookup culture through, apps like Tinder or whatever the case be, insert equivalent there. I mean, if you're gay, you got the grinder and all that stuff like that. And I think there's other ones too as well, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. I've just heard of grinder a few times on various things from literally Hollywood in most cases. I think the first time I ever heard it, I was watching, I forget what I was watching, and then I ended up flipping over the channel. I think it was that stupid train wreck movie that Amy Schumer did, which, by the way, I don't watch her fucking trash. It just happened to be on that point of the movie where she was like hooking up with John Cena or something like that, and it was Cena basically talking about grinder or something like that. And yeah, then I found out later it was like a gay app that was like the gay Tinder or whatever, which I thought was funny. So it makes sense, but yeah. Either way, it's a situation there where you have, all these hookup cultures, all these hookup apps like that, dude. All these fuck apps is what I call them actually, because that's what it really is. You're doing it to fuck people is what it is. And you're not having emotional bonding is what it is. You're not actually pair bonding the proper way that you need to be able to have a real relationship at some point. And there's been talk lately, actually, from many people that I've been on panels with and stuff like that have brought up these topics about how I forget exactly what the number of men it is that a woman is with before she just can't pair bond anymore. It's like a couple dozen, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, once you get to that precipice, man, like you're just done. Like you can no longer carry on a good relationship with anyone anymore. And the problem with that is that this is the kind of shit that's being incentivized by places like Hollywood, the mainstream media, our society in a nutshell. And it's not okay, man. I remember a time back in the day when you would have women that there would be an unspoken rule basically where you had a dude basically bring, a skill set, work, money, whatever it was to the table in a relationship, marriage, stuff like that. And the woman for that marriage would bring virginity, and the man knew that she was not laying with any other men before him is what it was. And in most cases that's where you had societal norms be back in the day, dude. You had the virgin bride and stuff like that. Now I'm not going to sit here and say that you should be a fucking virgin when you're married and stuff like that. I mean, obviously it's a plus for many people, but the entire point of it is that you should be as close to, for either sex, honestly, in my opinion, because that way you're actually less inclined to fuck around, is what it is, dude, at least from what I've seen personally. And that's the thing, and there is biological differences, obviously, between men and women, whereas with women, their entire mindset to begin with is actually about monogamy, whereas men specifically, our actual biological mindset is to fuck around as much as possible and spread our seed as much as possible to ensure our own survival through, future offspring and stuff like that. So there is a slight difference there. However, many men over the centuries and stuff like that now have gotten to the pair bonding stage, dude, have gotten to that monogamous stage and stuff like that, and will be with the same woman many, many, many times and have many, many kids with that woman. The problem is when you have these women that want to go around and have, 6, 7 different relationships going on at the same time, whatever it is, even like 2 or 3 for that matter, dude. And then want to sit there and be like, well, I don't know who my child's father is, so let me go on Maury or whatever the fuck this current show is at this point that's doing it now. And then it's like, oh, you are not the father of this kid or whatever the case be, even though you've been taking care of that kid for the last 3, 4 years of its life now. And then you wonder why guys get pissed, and you wonder why domestic violence and homicide rates rise like fucking crazy for shit like that, dude. Like, it's not that hard to figure out, man. It's because cunts lie, is what it is, dude. And the problem really is in that situation is that what you end up with is exactly this kind of stuff. You have a man who is supposedly 30 years old named Caleb who is calling out chicks who have multiple children with either the same guy or multiple guys for that matter, and being like, yeah, I don't want to be your fucking stepdad to your kids, man. And nor should this man be forced to do that either, for that matter, dude. If his prerogative is to meet a woman and have biological children with her that are his biological children only, not some fucking stepdad to a bunch of other kids that aren't his biological kids, there is nothing wrong with that, man. And to sit there and shit talk that man for that is absolutely ridiculous. Because, like you said, if we're to believe this man, owns his own home, multiple vehicles, 75 grand a year job. That's a lot that guy's bringing to the fucking table, man. Supposedly 6 foot, which is, a big fucking deal for most chicks because it's the whole, 6 foot, 6 inches, six figure kind of thing or whatever they love to talk about all the time. Which in reality, most of those chicks can't even bring fucking, one figure to the table is what it is. So obviously I'm making a joke about that. But no, seriously, there's a lot of chicks out there that are, and the worst thing is when you start looking into college and stuff like that, or you start looking into higher learning and things, you'll have these chicks now that are in their, 20s, 30s, etc., that are like, oh, I want to meet a guy, but I want them to make more money than I do, but I've gotten such much money from this degree that I've done, over the years and stuff like that. And oh, I'm not going to, essentially downgrade is what they call it, or something. I forget what the actual phrase is. It's not really downgrading, but it's basically going beneath their own like level of status and stuff like that, and marrying somebody who makes less money than they do is what it is. Even though that man that they would find in many cases would actually be a loving husband and would be a great provider for them. And that's the sad part right now, is that it's this fucking disconnect that has gone on our society, and mostly it is divide and conquer strategy by the politicians in power, dude, for the last 50 something years now. It's the same assholes that want to sit there and fucking, inflate our country beyond belief, that are trying to divide us as a nation, try to divide us on sexual lines and stuff like that, dude, on gender lines and shit, and make us hate each other while importing literal fucking people to take over is what it is. It's fucked up. And like I said multiple times, it's one of these situations where it's like, there's a reason why I personally will not date leftist women in this country, and it's because we don't have anything in common. I'm very much pro 2A, I'm very much pro constitutional, pro life, etc. And so many of them are not. They're the opposite of that, dude. They're anti gunners, they're anti life, they're all pro abortion and stuff like that, and everything along those lines. And I'm just like, I'm not going to waste my time with that. I'm not going to waste, and that's the thing too, with some people out there, some dudes, some chicks, whatever the case be, they'll be like, oh, well, you should just, kind of put up with that or whatever and try to change that person. Why? That's stupid, dude. They're already set. Like, that's the thing, especially if we're talking about a chick who's already like 23, 25, something like that, dude, already sitting in her fucking ways. Why would I spend a year, 2 years, 5 years of my life to try to change that person, to bring them more in line with my views, to the point where they may leave me at some point in that time period for another man, for another woman, even for that matter, dude? It's like, why would I invest that much time for nothing, dude? Instead of going out there and finding somebody who already aligns with my view set, who actually is down for having kids already, who wants to have a better life, who is pro 2A, who is pro Constitution and stuff like that. An actual American patriot, not some motherfucker who hates America and wants to shit talk and, destroy our fucking nation and groom our fucking kids, etc., dude, in these school systems. And it's like, nah, man. Like, there is zero reason for me to waste time on those kind of individuals, man. Like, I would much rather go out there. I'd much rather wait another year or two, end up finding some girl randomly that just happens to somewhat align with my views, is what it is right now. And then, maybe I marry that girl down the line, maybe I don't. But the entire point is that that's my prerogative. That's my actual individual mindset as a man right now, dude. Of why would I settle and try to change someone who is already set in their ways to the opposite of what I am? And even worse on that one, risk the potentiality of, let's go ahead and say I do end up with some leftist chick. she ends up getting pregnant with my child. And then she decides one day, oh, I'm all pissed off because we had a fucking fight, and goes to an abortion clinic and kills my kid. Fuck that, dude. There is zero reason for that, man. Literally zero reason for that kind of thing. And that's the thing. And the worst part of it is so many of these chicks, want to claim like they're so educated and everything else like that, dude, and they're not. Most of them have gone to colleges, yes, but most of them have also gone into women and gender studies degrees, which do absolutely nothing except put you into massive loan debt. And so the problem with that is what you end up having is a situation where, you'll have people who, on a level scale of 1 to 10 and stuff like that, you'll have a chick who's maybe a 4 or 5 or whatever, who ends up at a bar some night, ends up, some dude slumming it who is very much like, a 7, 8, 9, something like that, and is like, I'm going to go ahead and just bang this chick over here for the night or whatever the case be. And so this girl's like a 4 or 5, now thinks she deserves like an 8 or a 9, and refuses to actually settle for a guy in her own, attractive bracket is what it is, dude. And that's the problem again right there as well. And that's why you have so many of these chicks that are just like, oh, but I want that dude over there. And the thing is, in most cases, that dude that was slumming it for that night is a fucking asshole, dude. He is a literal fucking douchebag who wants nothing to do with you in real life and just wanted to get laid that night and was just like, oh, fucking anything that moves kind of thing is what it was, dude. And from what I personally have seen in my life, there's a lot of those motherfuckers out there too, man. And they want to sit there and call themselves alpha males or chads or something like that, dude, and they're not. They're fucking... They're the biggest kind of bitch beta, honestly, I've ever seen in my entire life, dude. Because these are the guys who will sit there and be like, oh, well, I have this, 6 or 7 figure job, and I'm going to stay unmarried my entire life, and da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, dude, we get it, but all you're doing is just being a dick to the rest of us out here, man. And that's the problem with most of these men. These little boys that want to pretend to be men is what it is, actually, in most cases. And unfortunately, it's the same thing with these women. It's these kids, these young females, that have a mindset of a teenage girl in their 20s and 30s and think that they can basically have their cake and eat it too. Think that they can have a career and a family and everything else like that, dude. And it's like, yeah, you can. You just can't have it the way they're claiming you can have it, where it's all at once. You have to do one thing first and another thing after. And the problem is, it's so many of them that'll delay having kids that they'll end up having no eggs left. They'll be dried up and stuff like that. And then they'll be all bitter in their 30s and stuff like that, or 40s or whatever it is. And you'll end up having these, Karen-esque people now. These very just insane chicks is what it is, dude, because they are just angry at society because they fucked up. And then they end up, being the ones that go into these colleges as these professors and stuff like that, these women and gender studies courses, and indoctrinating another generation of poor, impressionable young females. And it's this vicious ass cycle that continues on. And the saddest fact of it all is, if we actually had a better nation right now, if we actually had a better built society currently, and we basically told Hollywood to fuck off and the media to fuck off and all this other stuff like that, dude, you would have a better country entirely, dude. And that's why I truly believe, like, when things do end up collapsing here, when the shit does hit the fan in the next year or two, you're going to start to see the beginning of a new precipice in this country, of a new pendulum swing in this country, to where you have a brand new pendulum basically swinging back and forth then. And it's going to take us to a point in history into this fourth turning, into the hard times creating strong men again. And you're going to end up with an entire generation of people who do fall back to traditional values, who are sick of all of it, dude, who want to have monogamous relationships, who want to have an actual partner and a family and everything else like that. And that's kind of what I'm waiting on right now, is what it is. It is a situation where I have time on my hands, dude. You know, I'm almost 38 years old, but I still have time on my hands. Not that I don't want to be a father very quickly, is what it is, because I'd much rather be a father now than be a father, 5, 10 years from now. But the entire point is, I have the ability to have biological children for several more decades to come. Whereas women my age, I'm going to have to definitely start going down age-wise to actually find somebody that's fertile enough to bear my children in the future. And I think that's what we're kind of going to see right now, dude. Most likely, I, as a Zennial generation person, am going to end up with somebody who is younger Gen Z or something after that, even for that matter. Like wherever the hell that process is at right now. Which, honestly, looking at things right now, I'm guessing there'll probably be some chick who's like early 20s right now, honestly. Would be the chick I'll probably end up with at some point in the future. And, or even some girl who's like late teens, 18, 19, something like that. Because the entire point is, there's a lot of these people from these generations coming up right now. It's one thing I remember watching this past summer when they had the whole Roe versus Wade overturning and stuff. There were so many young women out in those crowds that were holding up the "I am the post-Roe generation" signs. And these were some beautiful females, dude. And a lot of them definitely look like they were probably late high school or like early college years and stuff like that. So it'd be like anywhere from like 17 to 20 or so would be my guess. And the thing is, that would be the kind of person that I would want to be wife material, to be a future mother to my children. As somebody like that who actually cares about human life, who actually wants a future for this nation, who understands that, yes, Roe versus Wade was a huge fucking mistake, a 50-year mistake, in fact. And it's one of the things where if we had stopped it, 40-something years ago, we wouldn't have to have importation and mass migration in this country. You would actually have enough Americans to fill our jobs, enough Americans to actually be here and make this country sustainable instead of having, mass importation and visas and everything else like that to these folks that are coming in illegally and from socialist and communist nations in most cases. And the problem is, when you have that kind of stuff going on, all it does is breed more communist and socialist bullshit ideology in this country, dude. And I'll tell you right now, I will never let this fucking country fall to communism or socialism, dude. Not on my fucking watch, motherfuckers. It's one thing I've mentioned many times, and I will continue to mention that. I will die on my fucking feet before I ever get put to my fucking knees. And I believe many, many other Americans will say the same. Because we have had it. And like I said, I think there's definitely a trend and a changing trend coming to put us back to more traditional values in this nation. We have gone so fucking far off the rails right now when it comes to the pushing and the continued loud push of the transgender ideology, of the fucking insane shit where they're basically indoctrinating kids and committing child abuse against them, to where when that pendulum does swing back, it's going to break. Like the bolts at the top right now are just rusted out, dude, and they're ready to snap. And I believe when that pendulum snap happens, that's when you're going to have that new pendulum, that little baby pendulum come back up And that's going to be your more traditional values and stuff like that in the future. It's going to be people being like, no, we don't want to have a society where you have a bunch of unmarried females that have, 3, 4, 5 kids and stuff like that with 3, 4, 5 different guys. It's going to be like, no, we want to have women who are great mothers again, who are married to one man and have multiple children with that man. And I think you're going to see a resurgence of men who may have taken some time off, who may have gone their own way and stuff like that, decide to come back in to the pool and make a better gene pool again, is what it is, dude. And I believe, truthfully, we are definitely on that cusp right now of great men again, of having great men in this nation again. It may not be our generation. It may be that after us. It might be our generations that are the ones that create these strong men. These young kids, these young teens, 20 somethings, whatever they are right now, that forces them to be put into a situation where they're going to have to step up and become real men again and are being providers and actually do what needs to be done to create a better nation. And I believe when that happens, you're definitely going to see a much greater country than we're seeing right now. I hope to live through that, honestly. I hope to live to see that time. And I believe I may. I believe I may. However, if I don't, again, every single grandstand I do here, every single video I post on this channel is nothing more than a record that I was here. It's to give future generations inspiration for the things and the trials and tribulations that they may face. And you may have some bad trials and tribulations that you have to go through. But at the end of them, you will be better off. I've gone through trials and tribulations myself. I've gone through almost 20 years now of medical tyranny in this country. And it's things that have just destroyed me, physically and emotionally and mentally in some cases. But I built back up stronger. I built back to a point where I was a greater person at the end of it, man. And I feel like there's many others out there, men, women, etc., kids that are going through these same kind of trials and tribulations right now. And hopefully most of them will end up coming out of it better people. Only time will tell. But like I said, I think we're definitely coming to a point right now where people are sick and tired of hookup culture. People are sick and tired of, folks that'll come on to dating sites and be like, oh, you should date me, even though I have, 3, 4, 5 kids, whatever it is, or 3, 4, 5 different men. And it's like, no, I choose not to do that. I choose to remove myself from that dating pool currently. I choose to move myself over here to this thing right now and better myself and better my environment and make myself a better person. And hopefully one day I will find the right one. And she will be a great mother to my kids. Because that's one thing I've realized in the last year or so is I want to be a dad. I want to be a father. I just don't want to be a father to somebody else's kids, dude. And the thing is, I have nothing wrong with actually being a stepdad, but the problem with being a stepdad is that child is not biologically yours. You could be the best stepfather to that kid possible, but, in many cases, unless they're super, super young, they're never going to see you as their actual father. It's just going to be like, oh, that's just Dave over there. or that's just Jimmy over there, or whatever the case be. Like, they're always going to look at you from that perspective of, like, you're not my real dad. You're just some fucking guy who's banging my mom. You know? And yeah, you may end up having another child with that woman or multiple other children with that woman. And it may be that this kid, you know, stepson, stepdaughter, whatever it is to you, it might be that they have half siblings that are your actual biological children, and then it puts you in that weird place. So I don't know. It's a whole thing. But yeah, needless to say, we'll be back for another one at some point in the future. I don't know when. We might be talking about the digital currency pretty soon. I don't know. It depends. Like, I know it exists. I think I've mentioned it a couple times on some of these. I know I've talked about it over the weekend with some people, and yeah, it's just a whole pain in the ass, dude. Is what it is. I know the UK is trying to implement it right now. That I forget what the actual standing for is. It's like CBDC or whatever, and that particular one they are trying to roll out in the UK right now and get them to accept it as a cashless society. I personally will never accept that shit as a cashless society because it will take us one step closer to Demolition Man. And I'll be damned if I'm living underground eating rat burgers by the time it's fucking said and done, man. Like, no way. No way, bro. No way would I ever let myself get to that point in time in history. Which I still would love to know how exactly they got to that point in history, dude, because honestly, from everything I remember watching in that movie, those people had, like, at least some guns, the ones that were living underground and stuff like that, dude. And I'm like, pretty sure you could have probably taken the cops and shit in that universe, dude, because it's like they just have these retarded ass stun batons and shit. Like, pretty sure if you just wanted to take over that society, you probably could have if you really wanted to. So, I don't know. Just seems like kind of a pussified society underground is what it is, dude. And yeah, it's why we never give up our guns in this country, dude. You know, we've seen what happens in so many other nations that do. Hell, I was watching a video this past weekend with Honda and them, and it was a dude. It was him and his wife, and it was in, I believe, New Zealand is what it was. And they were trying to take their fucking, I forget if it was a newborn child or if it was just a little, like a year or two old kid, because they refused to get the kid the fucking jabs. And you literally had these piece of shit New Zealand cops stealing their fucking child from them in front of them, dude. And yeah, I'll tell you what, if I was in that father's position, I would have gone ape shit every single one of them cops, dude. Like, there'd be a bunch of motherfuckers just laying on the ground at that point. And my child would be taken back to me, and we would be getting the fuck out of there, is what it is. So, yeah, never give up your guns, never give up your constitutional rights, and fight like hell. You know, that's why I said in the last couple episodes, we need to fight the fucking tyranny here in Ohio, where you got that piece of shit Matt Dolan and company trying to bring up the SB 375 again for a vote. I believe it's today at some point, or some point this week. It's either today or some point this week. From everything I'm hearing, it's supposed to be sometime today. I've already done my part. I've called up every single person on that finance committee and been like, you better do your job and vote this shit down, dude. You better keep the oath you swore to uphold to the Constitution and do your damn job and vote this shit down now. Never let it leave committee in any portion at all, unless you want to be named in a future lawsuit at this point. Because that's the point I'm at right now, honestly. If they vote it through, if they let it get to DeWine's desk, I will go one step further than the Second Amendment Foundation and Ohio Patriot Education Network will legitimately bring lawsuits against every yes vote on this bullshit, dude. So that's me calling out the General Assembly right now. Do not let SB 375 get through at all unless you want to be named in a future lawsuit. Because I do not fuck around, dude. I will bring the fucking heat at that point. And I'll bring out the big guns and them big ass fucking lawyers that would sue everybody into the fucking ground, dude. And it's as simple as that, honestly. So, yeah, needless to say, I'm done with this shit. I'm sick and tired of lame duck sessions in general. And don't be surprised if they vote this through today, actually, because my feeling on it is right now, I think that scumbag piece of shit Dolan is going to try to use tomorrow's Sandy Hook anniversary to possibly do a Senate floor vote, is what it would be, and just ram it through that way. And anybody that would use that 10th anniversary tragedy to push some bullshit anti gun agenda, first of all, needs to be arrested by every law enforcement officer in this state. And secondly, needs to never be part of our General Assembly ever again, is what it is. Which I've also talked to them about that one. When I left many messages a day for the Finance Committee people, I said straight up, you need to bring Dolan's ass to check and remove him from this General Assembly over this for deprivation of rights under color of law and many other crimes he's committed right now with this legislation. So, anyway. And the worst thing is, it's like, the worst problem with 375 right now is it's not even just the red flag laws, it's everything. It's red flag laws, universal background checks. It's literally threat assessment. It's a statewide TAPS Act. It's allowing, upwards of 4,000 people who are so-called mental health professionals, when in reality it's a bunch of leftist nuts who are all psycho themselves at this point, dude. I'll reiterate that again from earlier today. When you have most of these leftist people get into psychology or psychiatry and stuff like that, because they're trying to diagnose their own mental illnesses, these are the last fucking people that need to have the ability to diagnose somebody else as mentally ill. And the problem is, again, going back to people I will not date. That is why I will not date these people, honestly, dude. Because they are all fucking nuts, is what it is. And again, it's just bullshit, dude. There was never a reason for Senate President Huffman here to be able to allow Dolan to push this shit through the Finance Committee, dude. There was never a reason for gun control to be in a fucking Finance Committee. There was never a reason for gun control to be in any committee in the State House at all, for that matter. Because it should have been killed on the fucking spot. The second that Dolan introduced it, he should have been removed from office right then and there, dude, back in August. And it's a bunch of bullshit entirely that he wasn't. And it's the same exact shit with Allison Russo and the fucking Democrat Party. When they introduced that fucking anti-gun crap back in 2019, 3 days after Dayton, they should have all been arrested on the spot and removed from office right then and there. And this is the exact problem with deprivation of rights under color of law not being a felony in this state or nationwide for that matter. Because when it's only a misdemeanor, cops don't want to do their fucking jobs. If it's a state level felony or a federal level felony, we, the people, actually have the ability as citizens to arrest these fuckers, dude. And we should be able to do that at this point. So, anyway, needless to say, I think this will definitely be challenged in court many times over. I will definitely challenge it in courts. I believe the Second Amendment Foundation as well will actually have the financials to challenge it in court as well on that one, dude. And I believe Amanda Suffolk when she talks about them suing the state of Ohio over this, if it becomes law then. And like I said, I will personally try to bring as many lawsuits as possible against individual yes votes on this if it gets to that point. So, anyway, it really is time to just hold people's feet to the fire at this point, dude. We have won the day. We have won the ability. It's time to stop letting these fucking people think they have any legal authority to push any kind of anti-gun shit, dude. Because they don't. They don't, and they never have. And if this was 1776, our founding fathers would have already seen the end of a fucking rope in most cases. And it's as simple as that, honestly, dude. And maybe that's what needs to happen pretty soon, honestly, dude. Is a few people need to fucking, get high treason charges and stuff like that and prove a point to the rest of them. Be like, hey, we're not fucking around anymore, is what it is, dude. So I think that's the real problem right now. You've had so many people who have gotten so pussified And so many others have gotten so complacent and think they can do whatever the fuck they want and think there's going to be no consequences for it. And when there finally is a consequence for it, it's going to be that time and that precipice in history where shit's going to pop off. It's going to be that balkanization event. It's going to be that civil war event. It's going to be that revolution event. And I think that day is coming sooner than we think it is, honestly. And it's time to be ready for it. And I believe when it happens, people's heads are going to spin, dude, literally. And unfortunately, there's many individuals that don't get it. They don't get it, they never have. And they never will. Just to be clear on all this, just to be clear for all the Fed boy assholes out there that are probably listening at some point here, I am not making threats against anyone. Just like I didn't make threats in 2019. You fuckers knew that that was a what-if scenario, yet you still federally swatted me. Don't even fucking try to federally swat me again, because I will have a lawyer this time around, and I will take your fucking pensions if you try to pull that shit again. Because I've had enough of it, dude. I have not made threats. I will not make threats. I am simply stating a fucking fact. And the fact of the matter is, people have gotten way too complacent, and tyrants have gotten way, way too complacent and think they can keep doing tyranny and getting away with it. And at some point, they're going to learn that that's not fucking option anymore, dude. At some point, they're going to learn that the American people are finally going to have enough. And it's going to be that day in history that will go down in the history books as the start of a second American Revolution or revolt or civil war or balkanization or some, variation thereof. And it's as simple as that. It's just a historical fact that we're talking about right now. And it's as simple as that. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you all in the next one.